Hello, everyone. Welcome to Not Gnostic, Episode 3. I'm Ty, and really quick here, I just want to let you guys know that we are still actually looking for people to interview for our podcast here. So if that interests you, and you want to talk about, your religious experiences, your deconversion experiences, or maybe you happen to be an expert on a particular topic that deals with religion, go ahead and shoot us an email at notgnosticpodcast@gmail.com. One more time, that is notgnosticpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you enjoy it. So for today's episode, actually, I wanted to go ahead and talk about the hypocrisy of religion. That one, for me, is a major contention point that I have with religion. Oftentimes, I will see believers seemingly acting completely different than how they claim they're supposed to act, like they follow Christ's teachings of love and forgiveness, and then to me, it seems like I see them not doing that or doing the complete opposite of that. They'll vote against policies that would seem to sort of enhance that view of Christianity, that Christians are loving and caring and things like of that nature. But then, they do and say things that completely disagree with that. So today I have a couple of interesting news articles that I wanted to discuss, along with a bit of scripture that I found to be interesting. They showed up on my news feed earlier this month, and if you follow the news or you are someone who likes to keep tabs on religion as well, I'm sure you've heard of both of these things, but I just wanted to go ahead and discuss them. So the first article I have actually is Texas House okays letting adoption groups deny non-Christians. So Texas in America, for those of you who don't know, if we have any overseas listeners, Texas is a very conservative state. I am also from a very conservative state, although I was lucky enough to live in a city that tended to lean pretty liberal. So it was a pretty good place to live. But Texas is very religious in that regard. If you conservative and religion kind of go hand in hand in America. So basically, this article opens up by saying many state-funded Texas adoption and foster care agencies routinely deny non-Christian, gay, and unmarried applicants on religious grounds. And legislation that got initial approval in the State House on Tuesday is designed to protect them from potential lawsuits from doing so. The private organizations, which are paid by the state to place foster care children with adoptive families, want to continue the practice and are seeking legal protections through Texas Freedom to Serve Children Act, which the GOP-controlled chamber approved 94-51 late Tuesday night. So immediately there are a variety of issues here, major issues, by the way. One is this is state-sponsored, pretty much state-sponsored discrimination, in a sense. And they actually discuss that in the article. I don't want to, quote the article word for word, but someone mentions that this is definitely state-sponsored discrimination. In America, you have the freedom to practice religion, but you are not allowed to enforce religion on other people. You can't, there is a separation of church and state, and that is pretty much fundamental to the United States Constitution. So when they implement this kind of program, it essentially violates that law. And so they are trying to pass this bill so that they can't be sued by it, although I'm pretty sure even if the bill passed, it would still get struck by the Supreme Court of the United States because, again, it is not constitutional. It is a direct violation of the separation of church and state. And what I and many people have issues with when it comes to religion in America, why so many people are vehemently against religion, is because of this crap right here. When religion thinks it's okay to force its shit onto everyone else. And in fact, Randy Daniels, Vice President of Child and Family Services for the Dallas-based Christian child welfare organization, Buckner International, said religious agencies are terrified of lawsuits for turning away parents, as they should be. Okay, you want to know why they're terrified? Because these fuckers know that what they are doing is illegal in the United States. As I said, you are free to practice religion. You cannot, however, under any circumstances, force those practices onto anyone else, especially under a state-sponsored program funded by taxpayer money. This fucking shit should not even be allowed to pass. Unfortunately, many states have laws that actually directly violate the separation of church and state and the Constitution. Many states get away with it because people aren't there to challenge it. They either probably move or they're just not in a situation to challenge the law. So, for example, in many states, actually, you cannot, be in a leading position like governor or mayor if you do not believe in God. So anyone who is atheist, I'd imagine that also pretty much extends to people who are gay. If you do not follow a certain set of beliefs, you cannot run for office, even though that is strictly forbidden by the Constitution. It's just things have to be challenged. There is a rather annoying process that shit has to go through to even, be challenged at the Supreme Court level. And it costs money and resources that a lot of people don't have. But it would be shot down in the Supreme Court. But basically, Daniels goes on to say, we want to make sure we can practice within the framework of our sincerely held religious beliefs. And unfortunately for you, Mr. Daniels, the framework of your beliefs is by law not allowed to operate under state-sponsored programs. This kind of shit is ridiculous. This is the hypocrisy I am talking about. You want to preach that Christianity is all about love and shit? Show me. Okay, fucking show me that Christianity can be compassionate. Show me that it is willing to open its arms and be open-minded about having a live and let live attitude. Like I discussed in the previous episode, if people had a live and let live attitude, we wouldn't have so many problems, right? If people were pretty much like atheists are basically a non-group, right? We generally don't have, we don't cling together or anything. That's why it's kind of hard to get us to agree on certain situations or, things of that nature. But organized religion, on the other hand, can, easily influence policies because they are united in a single goal. But atheists are generally a non-group because they are motivated by other principles that do not relate to religion. And so you'll find many different atheists in this same, category here. It's just really hypocritical to me. If you want to be compassionate, then show that to me by not forcing your shit onto everyone else, okay? And furthermore, Randy Daniels goes on to say, these are our requirements, and we're clear. This is just who we are. Before, they talked about how, even heterosexual couples who are Christian need 3 years before they can adopt a baby, which, again, to me is kind of bullshit. But, said Daniels, we want to make sure that groups like Buckner continue to have a place at the table because we bring solutions. And I'm sorry, but no, you don't. The only things you are bringing to the table is conflict and ignorance. This is the reason so many people are against religion, and I can't imagine any of this being upheld in the Supreme Court, as I discussed earlier. When it goes to court, and if it passes, and if it does, it will go to court at some point because it is unconstitutional, and it will be shot down, okay? And, to beat the dead horse, the freedom to practice religion, it does not extend to enforcement of religion. State-sponsored programs like the ones being enforced in Texas is a direct violation of the Constitution and, in my opinion, complete bullshit. Christians whine and cry about discrimination and persecution. Oh, I can't force my shit onto someone. That's persecution. They think that not being able to force their crap onto everyone else is persecution. When, try going to the Middle East then with your beliefs, okay? Then you'll experience real fucking discrimination where people are killed for their beliefs. Discrimination is happening in the U.S. right now, but for damn sure it is not happening to Christians, okay? It's happening to people of color. It's happening to people who aren't white, to people who are not straight, to people who aren't male, okay? To people who are not white, straight, and male, okay? And it's happening to those people. Christianity is arguably the most privileged sect in America. Dude, if you're a white, straight Christian male, you are fucking golden in America, man. You have, like, so many doors open to you. But if you're atheist, right, if you subscribe to another belief system, if you are a different race, different sexuality, you're female or something, those doors suddenly, start closing, right? And it's like when you explicitly reject people from being able to adopt children based on religious dogma, then your ass is going to get sued, and I'm sorry, although not really, but you deserve no fucking respect, in my mind. Religion, I mean, I'll probably say this so many times in a variety of episodes, but in my mind, religion is not deserving of respect. Just because someone is a priest does not mean they are automatically deserving of respect. Just because someone believes in God does not mean that, they are automatically deserving of respect. There's this, like, stupid notion that you have to respect people if they are a man of God or some crap like that. But no, sorry, respect is earned through normal means. Like, you want to earn my respect, show me you are deserving of my respect, essentially. Christianity is not deserving of my respect. If you're Christian, that's fine, okay? You can be Christian, and you can still earn my respect. But if you act like this, if you act like your beliefs are better than everyone else, and you act like you need to enforce your beliefs onto everyone else, then I'm sorry, but you're going to have a really hard time, if any time, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be fucking downright impossible, but you're going to have a hard time earning my respects, It makes no sense to deny people adoption rights just because you don't agree with their lifestyle. That is the very definition of closed-mindedness. This is what religion does, though. It forces its shit onto everyone else, and when people fight back, and rightfully so, believers fucking complain about it. But yes, so this is what is happening in Texas, and I hope that this bill gets shot down or challenged, because it is definitely in the wrong. My next article that I actually wanted to talk about that kind of relates to the first is one I'm sure a lot of people will have heard of, though. Earlier, Heritage Academy principal defends their decision to bar pregnant teen from graduation. Now, really, as a background, this is happening at a Christian school, and a teenager who was 18 got pregnant, and they are basically banning her from, or barring her from attending the graduation. I do think she will still get her diploma, although in other schools you are not so lucky, unfortunately, if you break that sort of vow, I guess, they make upon entering a Christian school. But basically, it opens up, again, by saying, certainly, we are a pro-life institution, and certainly, we are pleased that Maddie has chosen to keep her baby. Another major thing about Christianity is being pro-life, and that if that abortion is basically murder. I believe last episode I talked about Abolish Abortion Idaho, where they want to actually charge women who have an abortion with first-degree murder, something to me that is completely and utterly insane. But basically, Principal Hobbs told Herald Mile Media, her choice broke that standard of abstinence. It is a clear standard in the Bible. It is a clear standard in our handbook. And so basically, in this case, women are fucked, no matter what they do. It's like you have an abortion, shun. Get pregnant, shunned. So what exactly is healthy about this? How can you, again, claim to be compassionate, right? You claim Jesus is loving, although I'm pretty sure he kind of treats women in similar ways throughout the Bible, but, they say we follow Christ's teachings of love and forgiveness, but I don't see any love or forgiveness in this. Do you? I don't see someone, being like, oh, you made a mistake. Let's, get through it or something like that, right? But reached for comment on Monday. I'm reading the article a little more. Maddie and Scott Runkles said they went public to start a national dialogue about this type of treatment by private Christian schools with young pregnant women that are hidden away or shamed. That could push more teens to abortion or even consider suicide. And this is true. This is true. You know, when you are shunned for something like a mistake, right? And that's what it is. It's a mistake. But you are still shunned for making the right choice in a pretty crappy situation, right? You don't have an abortion, but you're still no longer holy or something, right? Oh, she's pregnant. And I'm sure she probably, faced discrimination after that from her friends and other people, right? Because that's how Christianity is. It's toxic if you break even one simple thing. If you make one simple mistake, it'll make you an outcast in a fucking second. Okay? It'll ostracize you, it'll shame you, and it's funny too because, they claim that we are all sinners, right? We are all on the same level, when that's clearly bullshit because Christianity operates on a, hierarchy of sorts. You've got your leaders, Christian leaders like pastors, reverends, things of that nature. You've got men, and then you've got women at the bottom. Women are treated like shit throughout the Bible, and they are treated like crap in Christianity too. The only reason I believe that certain women are okay with it is because they grew up believing that. They grew up believing that that's how women should be treated. They're brainwashed, essentially, into thinking that women aren't better than men. And obviously, I'm sure not all Christians think that way, but it is a major fact that, and, I'll point out a scripture, later that will discuss this. But to continue what the article says, asked what message he feels the school's action sends, Hobbes referred to the concept highlighted in Romans 12:21 in the New Testament. It says, overcome with good. Be overcome with good, angels singing, yada, yada, yada. Okay, next. And that's exactly what I want to do, he said. I know that when a child commits wrong, the best way to love that child is to discipline the child. Yeah, that definitely worked out to you, right? How's that national coverage going for you? The best way to do the wrong thing for the child is to not discipline the child. We love Maddie Runkles. Okay? And so he wants to quote scripture, right? So let's quote some scripture, shall we? I've got some great fucking scripture that, to me, I find quite repulsive. But let's see here. So it occurs slightly before God decides he is going to destroy the city of Sodom for not following him. He says, if there's, he says to Moses beforehand, if there are 10 righteous people in the city, I will spare the city, stuff like that, and claiming that he's a just God who will, save the city if there are 10 people or an insignificant number of people who follow him. And so at this point in time, though, men from the city have come and asked to have sex, basically, with the two men staying in Lot's house, who I believe happen to be angels of the Lord. So the specific passage I am referring to says, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing, which is not have sex with these men. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Of your roof? Okay, so your own daughters, are not under the protection of your roof. I think I'm starting to see, exactly where women are placed on this hierarchy within Christianity. And this is not the only time, by the way, women are essentially thrown to the fucking dogs for no clear reason whatsoever, or would have been had they not protected men. And actually, did I forget to mention that Lot's daughters were already engaged? Yeah. But it's cool, right? I mean, he was protecting servants of the Lord, right? Right? Sorry, I probably should work on that sarcasm a little bit. But these are the kinds of beliefs that infect America's politics. They hold no value whatsoever other than to control others for simply not believing in the same shit. These beliefs have no rationality behind them. There's no logic, and yet they expect people to follow it without question. They expect people who want no part in it to follow it without question. And it's clear to me with regards to the situation at that private Christian school, then, that this principal is someone who doesn't know shit about what is actually right and wrong. Christianity teaches, in my mind, what is a very warped view of right and wrong. Right and wrong, okay, right to Christianity is following authority. Obey men, okay, obey the law. Follow things to the T. Don't ask questions, right? Don't seek knowledge, right? As with the case of Adam and Eve, when, God, who supposedly all-loving, basically banished them to earth for eternity, or hell, or suffering, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's incredibly warped in my mind, the views of right and wrong in Christianity. And how is shaming someone for making a fucking mistake good? How is shaming this girl for getting pregnant good, right? She didn't even have an abortion. And so it's like, you're going to shame her no matter what she does. You're going to discipline her no matter what she does. You're going to punish her no matter what she does. That is not good. There is no goodness in that. I'm sorry. But it's like Christianity. It's like damned if I do and damned if I don't. And, that is kind of true, though, if you follow their beliefs, right? If we're all sinners, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. But, it's a completely just insane concept to me to punish someone no matter what they do, right? Like, even if they want to correct something or they want to uphold the values that they hold dear to themselves. And so these are some of the issues that I really struggle with when it comes to, Christianity and things like that. I don't think I'll ever be able to kind of reconcile that either. I don't think, unless Christianity suddenly, adopted a live and let live attitude, which I highly doubt is ever going to fucking happen. It has always wanted to be in control. It has the blood of millions, if not billions, on its hands throughout the centuries, right? The Crusades, the Inquisition, and countless of other shit that are just atrocious and completely inhumane, in my opinion. So anyways, thank you guys for listening to episode 3 of the Not Gnostic podcast. If you liked, please feel free to subscribe. And again, we are still looking for people to interview, so go ahead, shoot us an email at notgnosticpodcast@gmail.com if you would like to get in on that, and we will set up a time. So that should be all well and good. Anyways, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good week, and I will see you in episode 4.